Hola y gracias por estar con nosotros de nuevo.
Hello, thank you for being with us again. In another show about the world, we will talk to Dr. Michael Leitman today about how we can rebuild our lives following the coronavirus crisis. And we want to examine the ways in which we can rebuild and contend with the life after the virus. Dr. Leitman? Leitman. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be with you together. Norma. So, Dr. Leitman, you know this plague created an economic shockwave around the world, but what we want to focus on now is actually, the economic aspect, but bringing it to the personal level, not statistics or numbers. Let's take a person, an individual living in Colombia, Mexico, Brazil, working in some factory, living in some neighborhood, low-class neighborhood, and as a result of the plague, the factory he was working in closed. So how can a person like that begin to rebuild life? Leitman. I have no patent here, no easy fix, unfortunately, and also the whole world doesn't have a solution. The whole world doesn't know how to emerge from this great blow. We merely see how nature wants to change human society, and how it acts in a way that may seem to us even quite cruel. We need to change and see the world as an integral one, where we are all interconnected, interdependent, and we need to live not like animals in the forest, in constant competition, each one wanting to exploit the other. Rather, we need to live as a single united society, one family. This coronavirus, it showed us that we're truly connected together around the globe. Within a month's time, it was a great blow that happened to us, and it's made it so that we cannot contend with it, we cannot face it, we cannot fight against it, and we need to learn what the moral of this story is. It's that we are all parts of one society, one body, and accordingly, if we want to behave correctly, according to that, then we need to be connected together and to take into account each and every one. We mustn't use our personal egos in order to enter into conflict with others, because through these conflicts we achieve nothing. No one is ever happy with it. A person can only show how strong and cruel he is, how ruthless, how jealous and extreme he is. But what does he gain by that? The coronavirus now is doing a very nice thing, very nice exercise with us. We will need to be connected together and to develop a completely new system of relationships between us, and also to build up our industry, our education, our culture in such a way where it is, all of it, supportive of human connection, like family. And if we don't want to do that, because we're egoistic, our ego constantly keeps developing and growing, it keeps hindering us, stopping us from connecting more and more together. But if we follow our ego, then we will truly come to even more severe blows. To return to life as before, that we cannot do. We must build a new human system.
Sobre este nuevo sistema hablan los cabalistas. Hay escritos sobre esto. Usted también ha mencionado
Noma, regarding the new system, there are many texts written to us by the Kabbalists of the past, and you also said that we have to build a society of mutual responsibility, mutual support, and integral society. This takes time to build. It's a process. It's a gradual process. So, a very structured one. But what can we do until then? Lightman. Until then, we begin to build. As soon as we begin to build this new system, this will actually be called the system of connection between us, and accordingly, we will begin to see how nature begins to treat us in a much better, nicer way, giving us time and room and providence, sustenance for everyone. Let's not delay. Let's see how we build an integral society as we truly are, and not to go against nature, because nature formed us into one integral society. And we see that if we let go of the inanimate, vegetative and animate degrees, how they begin to flourish, how good it is for them. We are the destructive element of nature. And if we shut ourselves in with respect to our ego a little bit, if we don't again try to control and govern nature however we see fit, we will see some support coming to us from nature, and it will be good for us. Otherwise, we will never again be able to achieve a connection between us which is egoistic and allows us to live well. We cannot go back to the constant trips around the world, tourism. We cannot develop relations of pride and control between people. That whole process has ended. At least this is how I see, according to the wisdom of Kabbalah, and also I see it in our lives today. Noma. Yes, we see changes occurring, for example, in England and other nations in Europe, even in the United States, in Latin America. As an outcome of the plague, let's not call it plague, pandemic, many people lost their work. People who were managers before, they were chefs and so on. Now they work in simple agriculture in order to put bread on the table. They even work in the department stores or deliveries and so on. So, can it be a solution for the new world? Lightman, the solution for the new world is us not asking where to work, but rather every profession is a respectable one if it is to man's benefit. And here we need to think. With everything that we do, we need to first think, is what I'm producing, what I'm doing, do people actually need it? Or am I only caring about making a profit? And then we will see that everything we built before, factories, various systems, and so on, we will see the extent to which they're necessary. And in many cases, we will discover that there is no need for them whatsoever. And so they cannot continue on existing, and we shouldn't be sorry about them not existing anymore. Many of us will be unemployed, and we will find something for them to do. We will recombine them into human society in such a way where they begin to help each other. People will help each other. We are in a situation where the old remain without proper assistance. Our children are running around the streets without their mothers, without proper education, with proper educators. We have much to do. Instead of destroying ourselves, each one destroying the other, let's take care of ourselves. And then everything will work out. And we will have enough healthy food and clothing, everything. A person will have everything, but in a proper, in a sufficient way, where it doesn't come to him to buy and buy and buy and buy. He will take it just to what he needs, and in a way he enjoys. And then we will have no competition. Everyone will think about how to build a system between us of people who are considerate of each other. Norma, is that supposed to be a national project or to develop organically through a decision that each individual makes? Lightman, this should come as the coronavirus is showing us that we're all one system, actually. And there are no peoples, nations, regions in the world. We are all of us as one. And that is how we should see ourselves. And so the future of the world is such that we begin to close all the gaps between us and live and create a good quality of life for everyone. And the main thing we need to have is friendship and connections between us. If we stop the arms race, we will get to a state where we have so many means, so much money, so many natural treasures and resources that we won't have anything to think about there. We have a good future if we want it. Norma. So if so, we have to reform our work plan, everything related to professions and businesses, see what society needs and not necessarily what each one wants to do, but rather according to the needs of the moment. Lightman. We need to think of how to formulate a general plan for the healing of all of humanity together. I said humanity is an integral system, and we saw that now in the coronavirus outbreak. It is worthwhile for us to plan things out like that and to begin to gradually implement those plans. Norma, what elements does this plan for the whole of humanity need to include, if you can specify? Lightman, we need to see how we can elevate some people to a level we deem normal, where each one receives what he needs, what he deserves in order to exist. Food, clothing, electricity, water, and so on. By the way, it's also written in the rules of the UN, and in some of the societies we need to see how we remove some of the cream from them, which is also not in their best interest, that cream. And then we lower the tensions between different populations within nations and between nations, and so we will advance. I'm not a socialist. All in all, I see from the perspective of nature that relating to us as anything other than an integral society, anything other than that, that's impossible, because then we go against nature. And nature is relating to us, treating us as an integral society, very deliberately, and we don't want to be such. And so we enter into conflict with nature, and by that we come to crisis. Norma. So who's supposed to make such decisions then? Lightman. People who understand these things. First of all, it's scientists, sociologists, psychologists, but not the wealthy or those who want to be the managers, the masters. Rather, it should be people who want to see the world equalized, balanced. Such people have to govern Noma. So each nation needs some interdisciplinary committee to develop such a thing. Is that what you recommend? Leitman, yes, I think so. And also there should be a regular committee that discusses the general balance of the whole world, an international one. Noma. So not necessarily an international organization that already exists, like the UN. Leitman, these organizations were built on an egoistic basis, without the correction of man or society, and I don't see any way in which they can continue to run the world in the right direction. Noma, if so, then what is the solution? What are the options? Leitman, we have to engage in education. We have to engage in the education of the populace to elevate them to such a degree where they understand where they live. The coronavirus gave us a good head start for that. We just need to explain why it comes as it does. Why does all of society, including the inanimate, vegetative, inanimate debris and humans, are all together on one globe, it's one circle, one nature, and we have no choice. We will have to accept that and to work accordingly. The inanimate, the vegetative, and the animate are parts of nature in a simple, integral manner. They have no evil inclination, but the human being wants to break through those boundaries. By that, he destroys himself and society. And so we have to educate ourselves on how to be a properly organized society, a society organized as a circle, an integral society. Noma. With that idea, we will conclude our program. Thank you very much. We will continue the very next opportunity to study this very interesting